When I was in college, I started playing pickup basketball in the morning, and it's been one of my favorite things over the last several years. And in my mind, in every new year, I thought, wouldn't it be so cool if I could dunk a basketball? And I would develop a routine, maybe lift some weights, go to the gym, plyometrics, all of the things, only to not really have any sustained effort made or long-lasting improvement. This picture was taken towards the end of my residency training. I stopped by an outdoor court on my way home and shot baskets, and I never quite made it to dunking a basketball. 2 summers ago, before this conference, I injured my Achilles, and I don't know who may have noticed, but 2 years ago at this meeting, I could barely walk. Like, it hurt. It was a little bit embarrassing almost to host a musculoskeletal conference and be struggling. And I thought that I probably never would be able to dunk or jump or really play basketball regularly again. And for a while, I kind of stopped playing. In March, I was thinking about the theme, getting incrementally better at something, and thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting to do a personal experiment with the topic and then share my experience with you at the meeting? Could I learn to play basketball again? Could I learn to jump higher and dunk? Not by making dramatic changes, but by just implementing small incremental improvements. So I started by just sort of seeing where I was at, which was very discouraging, and just thinking to myself, I'm just going to give it a try, see what happens. And I started shooting baskets after work every day and incrementally and gradually getting better. I did keep a record of my thoughts in a journal on my phone during this process, and I would discuss it with the team in the operating room periodically. And I want to share with you some of the things that I learned through this process. Behavior is the intersection between motivation, ability, and prompting. Motivation is fickle. It doesn't last. It comes and goes. So if we're trying to make long-lasting behavioral changes needed to accomplish something greater, we cannot rely on motivation alone. We need to do things that we're able to do, and we need to be prompted to do them. So they need to be integrated into our routines of living. So for example, I'm motivated to get more in shape. I'm able to do what I call a baby squat, and I'm prompted because I come home and see a baby. And so I did a lot of these over the summer, and it was a fun way to integrate some additional exercise into my routine. I found that this approach to change, this approach to improvement, is far more a process-oriented approach than it is an outcomes-oriented approach. This company went public in 1997 at a stock price of $18, only to sort of stay at about that level for many, many years. They even dropped as low as $6. They stuck with it. They refined their processes. And over time, momentum was allowed to take form. And we can do the same thing in our individual lives. One thing that I learned is that our competition is really not each other, and it's not somebody else. Too often in medicine, we're worried about being better than somebody else. Did I get into the right school as somebody? Did I do well on a test? Is my practice as good as somebody else's? None of that matters. I think in our community, we need each and every one of you to be your best self, even if it's a little different. And it gives you the freedom to go and experiment, to test and to try new things, even if it's a little funny, like jumping around on the beach in Florida. I found, too, by integrating this idea of incremental change, I could do so in harmony with other aspects of my life. If you were to try to make a big change with lots of motivation, you would probably do it in a way that would be harmful to other aspects of your life or take away from them. I was able to integrate some changes in my life that were done in harmony. For example, I knew I needed to eat better. And one of the ways I could eat better is to not eat cafeteria food at the hospital, but to eat at home. And I'm terrible about taking a lunch. But what I started doing is going home for lunch. And I was able to get a walk to my car, make a phone call on my drive home, spend a little extra time with my family, eat a more healthy meal, and come back refreshed. And instead of feeling like I was operating for 10 or 12 hours straight, I could break up the day and just sort of do 2 half days. Harmony. And I remember, this was just a few days ago, I came home, Ella did not want me to leave. So she got down from Marie's arms and walked up to me and gave me a big hug. And then she went back to Marie and gave her a big hug. And then she came back to me, gave me a big hug. And we met back and forth for about 10 laps. And I thought that was such a small moment that I'll never forget by making a small change in my daily routine. When I was in medical school, I read an article that encouraged me to find joy in the journey. It wasn't about reaching some destination when you'd be happy or some outcome that would make everything better. Life is about finding joy in the journey or about finding joy in the process. And that was a good message for me because medical school, I was into it far enough to know that it was a long way. And so learning to just sort of enjoy each and every day. Making small 1% improvements in your life and striving to be a little bit better each day is a way to find joy in the journey. So how did I do? Well, this slide was 3 pictures about a week ago. It went the 2014 picture, the March picture, and then the June picture. I did really well my first 3 months. I was making progress. I was like, this is great. I'm going to be throwing it down with both hands by conference time. And then I had some setbacks. My hamstring was a little tight. My left knee got hyperextended at one point going down the stairs, and I couldn't quite jump off of it. And so I felt a little bit discouraged. But again, I just stuck to the process, and I was like, this is an experiment. We'll see what happens. After cases this weekend, I had to jump off my other leg, which is the leg that had the Achilles injury, and it was a 1-leg jump, not a 2-leg, which is what I've been training for. And I found that I could get basically as high as I did 11 years ago when I was younger and didn't have all these things. And I felt good about it. There was one finding that I didn't really plan on or expect, but that I think is very meaningful to this talk. And that is, in an effort to elevate my vertical jump, my motivation and my goal itself was also elevated. My desires to change my eating, my activity, my health were more rooted in a desire to be there for my patients and for my team. I've been in medicine now for 20 years, 10 years of training, 10 years of practice. Can I still be here for 20 years or more and continue what is kind of a grueling day-to-day schedule? And then my daughter is 43 years younger than me. And I thought, and continue to think, am I going to be there for her when she's my age? Can I make that happen? At this conference, I hope that each and every one of you will learn something, anything, one thing, and take it and apply it into your practices. The MedTalk speakers have spent all summer refining a message that is applicable. Imagine if everyone in this room applied one thing, how impactful that could be for our community. Get to know somebody that you didn't know before. Have that person be an advocate or someone who can help you in the future. Again, imagine if everyone connected with just one person, how much more connected we would be as a community. And finally, we want to help you, all of you, with your intermediate goals and objectives. Let's elevate our vision collectively towards what I think would be the 2 most important goals and objectives for all of us. To see patients in our community get their lives back, and to see to the success and well-being of each other. Thank you.